Hi everybody and welcome back. Okay, in today's video we will be discussing things about the royal family and others in a manner which I call the inevitables or the indisputables. And again, if you are a sensitive soul who tend to take things way too personally, I would advise you to proceed with caution or wait for the next fun video. Now, the first royal, albeit a pseudo royal or royal by default, I want to talk about today is, of course, Meghan Markle. But today I'm not going to laugh and giggle and discuss her bad taste in style or her 70s bangs. No, no, no. Today we're taking a step back towards the old style Bookworm 2 videos, and we are going to do an analysis and conclusion on the woman and what could or should be done about her condition, her position, etc. Now, by now, we have all stated that Meghan Markle is a narcissist, and we may even have stated this more than once. Myself, Murky, P. Dina, Taz, Celt, Paula M., H.G., Tudor, and others have gone through the checklist numerous times. We've used scientific and not so scientific methods of diagnosis and still came to the same conclusion, namely that Meghan Markle is a narcissist. But, my friends, it isn't that cut and dry, that easy. Firstly, there are at least 8 categories of narcissism, and I'm quickly going to give you a rundown of these categories. Firstly, healthy narcissism. In short, each person has a bit of healthy narcissism in them. A person with a healthy narcissism will feel proud of their accomplishments and will want to share it with others because it makes them feel good. Healthy narcissism is the ability to feel a sense of entitlement and knowing that you belong in a certain space or deserve certain things. These feelings in healthy narcissism is usually fairly well in line with reality. Secondly, grandiose narcissism. A grandiose narcissist overestimates his or her own abilities, asserts their dominance over others, and have an inflated sense of self-esteem. Thirdly, vulnerable narcissism or covert narcissism. These people tend to be shy and self-effacing, hypersensitive to criticism in or what they perceive to be criticism, and are chronically envious of others. Number 4, malignant narcissism. These people are manipulative and malicious and show signs of sadism and aggression and are the most severe type of narcissist. Number 5, the sexual narcissist. These people have an overly positive, egotistical admiration of their own sexual abilities and will become consumed by their obsession with sexual performance. They're also serial cheaters and use sex to manipulate others. Number 6, somatic narcissism. These people derive their self-worth from their bodies and will manifest as someone feeling more beautiful or stronger or fitter than others. Cerebral narcissism. These people derive their self-importance from their minds. They feel smarter, more clever than others, although they aren't always. But they feel that way. In other words, they feel superior. Number 8, the spiritual narcissist. These people will often use their spirituality to justify harmful behaviors or use spiritual jargon to intimidate others. Now, a point I've made numerous times before, as had many others, is that there is no cure for narcissism whatsoever. And therapy usually has an adverse effect, and therefore there are only 2 ways in which to deal with a narcissist. And that is 1, to set very strong boundaries and to stick to them, or two, to walk away from a relationship with a narcissist. Now, although I agree with everybody that Meghan Markle is a narcissist and somewhere between grandiose and malignant narcissist, there is something else about her personality disorder, which is a trait of being a malignant or grandiose narcissist, but which on its own point to mental illness, which could worsen over time. And that is, Meghan is a pathological liar. Although incessant lying could be a symptom of narcissism, pathological lying is a disorder all on its own, or it can be linked to a number of personality disorders or mental illness. Pathological lying is also called mythomania or pseudo-logica fantastica, and it refers to the chronic behavior of compulsive or habitual lying. A pathological liar also seems to lie for no apparent reason. Now, we are all familiar with Meghan's lying. She was lying and enjoying it long before she even met Harry. Remember, she lied about belonging to a union to get an acting gig. Well, that may seem to some as a lie of necessity, in other words, to get the job, but in fact, it was a malicious lie, as Meghan Markle was well aware of the costly effects her lie could have had. And then, to make matters even worse, and reiterate the fact that it was an intentional malicious lie, is the fact that she reveled and enjoyed getting away with a lie and did not even mind bragging about it in public at all. Then we had her lying about paying her own tuition. We had her openly and internationally lying to Oprah during that infamous interview. Once again, we see a glimpse of something a little more than narcissism, a little more than bragging. Honestly, on the surface, you or I may not see the difference between lying to our spouses or friends and lying to someone and being filmed doing so, and knowing that your lie will be broadcast all over the world. But you see, there is a difference. Although lying of any sort is frowned upon, there is the white lie someone may tell in order to prevent hurting someone's feelings, or the grey lie we may tell to prevent ourselves from getting into trouble, like the dog ate my homework kind of lie. And those are the lies, whether nice or socially acceptable or not. Most people will at some point tell their families, tell their teachers, their colleagues, etc. But it takes a very different mentality to tell a blatant lie in public, on record, and not care that the world will bear witness to it. And then one would assume that if a person was brave enough to have done so and had gone through the humiliation of being caught out on those lies in public, that the person would be extremely humiliated and would be very, very careful about what they do or say in public in the future. But not Meghan Markle. No, siree. We have just witnessed her doing it again. In her letter to Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, Meghan paints a picture of herself as coming from a poor background and having to work as a child to help pay the bills. And regardless of the fact that we are all aware that although maybe not very wealthy, Meghan still had a rather privileged upbringing, attending first the Little Red Schoolhouse with an annual tuition fee of approximately $43,000. Then she attended Immaculate Heart High School with the annual tuition fee of about $18,800 plus other fees. Yes, and then there were the overseas trips, horse riding, ballet classes, and finally attending one of the more expensive universities in the United States. So once again, the world knows that Meghan never had a poor, underprivileged life. Yet, she goes right ahead and lies. This time, even in writing and knowing that the letter will be displayed in the media. And it is this very trait that Meghan Markle displays that may be indicative of something bigger and more sinister than a personality disorder. There are scientists and psychiatrists who believe that pathological lying is not purely a symptom of another disorder, but that it is a disorder all on its own. Observing people who are pathological liars is also problematic and misleading, and that is the main reason why there is still a lack of clarity as to whether it is a personality disorder or a mental disorder, whether it is just baseless lying due to a personality disorder such as narcissism, or whether it is actually some form of delusion. For example, will a sociopath be more prone to lying? Well, yes, definitely. Will a psychopath lie more or more regularly than the average Joe soap? Yes, definitely. The question is, why are they lying? Are they lying to make themselves look better, create a false persona, to cover up their misdeeds, to deceive people, or because it's part of their delusions and therefore they cannot distinguish fact from fiction? This is the dilemma scientists and psychiatrists are faced with. But when it comes to Meghan, all we as non-scientists or non-psychiatrists need to know is that by now there is enough evidence that the woman suffers from the most severe form of personality disorder, namely being a malignant narcissist, but that it's also very likely that she suffers from a mental illness, which will get worse as she enters menopause. The facts are that there is no such thing as her learning her lesson. There is no such thing as getting better. Meghan Markle will continue to lie and deceive. She will continue to belittle others, spread rumors, and create mayhem wherever she goes. It will not end. It will not stop. And during times when we may be under the impression that she stepped back a little, we'll be wrong, as she will be back there plotting and scheming as how to do the most damage in the shortest possible time. There is no cure for Meghan Markle. There are no lessons to be learned. She is a mentally unstable woman. We can speculate as to why it happened, but in my opinion and that of certain professionals, it would be hard to determine. It may be genetic, it may be taught behavior, it may be due to a certain level of dysfunction in her early years, it may have been made worse by drug and alcohol abuse, or it could be due to a combination of all of these factors. No one knows for sure, and we are definitely not in a position to determine that. What everyone knows for sure is that there is no cure, nothing she can be bought off with. It is what it is, and the only way to rid yourself, be it the public or the monarchy, of this evil and dysfunction is to set strong and strict boundaries and to stick to them, or to cut all ties with Meghan Markle. Now, the issue on the table is, if we know this to be the truth, then it is most likely that by now the Queen and the royal family also know the truth. So why are they not doing anything? And by doing anything, why are they not taking those titles away or putting them in abeyance or actually just do something? Well, I have agonized over the answer for months now, and have talked to others about it, have consulted many books, and the only answer I could come up with is a rather complicated, if not slightly long-winded one. But I'll do my best to keep it simple. We essentially currently have three decision makers in the royal family, and they are Her Majesty the Queen, Prince Charles, and Prince William. Of course, the Queen gets a lot of support from Anne, Edward, and Sophie, and even Andrew and Sarah, whether we like it or not. But ultimately, all decisions now lie with Her Majesty, Charles, and William. It is also no secret that although the Queen still attends to her ceremonial duties, she has handed a lot of her administrative and managerial duties to Prince Charles, whereas Prince Charles is in the process of passing some of his princely duties to William. And whereas Prince Edward is taking over many of Prince Philip's duties, patronages, and interests, and Anne, Sophie, and Catherine are starting to fill in the gaps. But now, the real mystery surrounds Prince Charles. Like an aide said, Prince Charles has been doing most of the heavy lifting for a few years now. One cannot expect the Queen at her age to travel like she did, etc., etc. So, why is the Queen reluctant to make him regent? By making Prince Charles regent, the Queen will not be breaking her oath to serve until her death, but will legitimize Charles's managerial position, for a lack of a better term. So why isn't the Queen doing this? In my opinion, the answer lies not so much in Prince Charles's popularity or his past or anything we have to date considered. No, I do not think it's that simple. In my opinion, the problem or reservations that the Queen and everyone else has with Prince Charles is exactly the problem we, as the public, have with Meghan Markle. Now, I told you right in the beginning of this video that there are different types of narcissism. Whereas Meghan Markle ticks all the boxes of a malignant narcissist and or a grandiose narcissist, Prince Charles ticks every box when it comes to being a cerebral narcissist. Now, just a quick reminder, these people feel self-important. They feel smarter or more clever than others, and therefore entitled to always be right, and will not and cannot tolerate anyone telling them they are wrong. They will also never take responsibility if or when they've made a mistake, and will find many reasons to blame someone else or blame circumstances for the mistake that was made. They are the people who will be caught red-handed and still argue that they did nothing wrong. As always, I'm fully aware that I'll be called every name in the book for daring to call out Prince Charles. The best one I heard lately was that I have a historic hatred of the royal family because I am a Boer. Well, that's really funny because I'm only 50% Boer and do not hate anyone, not even Meghan Markle. I just don't like her much and do not agree that she should be getting away with the nonsense she had been getting away with. And the same applies to Prince Charles. We cannot, and I will not, apply one rule to one person and not to another. Okay? It goes against what I believe in. Therefore, I cannot blame Meghan Markle, Sarah Ferguson for selling their titles and royal connections and not apply the same principle to Prince Charles. I know I've already spoken to you about the cash for honours deals or debacle that Prince Charles allegedly has been involved with. And of course, they are the cases of Dr. Mahfouz, the Saudi tycoon who received a CBE from Prince Charles and eventually was also supported by Prince Charles in obtaining British citizenship. And then there was Bruno Wang. Now, Charles and the Chinese donor were photographed together, and eventually it came out that Mr. Wang was a wanted man in Taiwan. But you guys can go Google that for yourselves. And then, of course, there was the Russian Dmitry Lewis, who donated a six-figure sum to Charles's foundation. And then it was found out afterwards that there were some charges for money laundering against Dmitry. And I believe the donation he made was then returned to him. Never mind. Now, I've listened to arguments on both sides, and I'm not going to take a moral stance one way or the other, but instead take a quick peek at British law. And yes, in Britain, there is such a thing as Act 1925, the Honours Prevention of Abuses Act, which is an act of Parliament of the United Kingdom that makes the sale of peerages or any other honours illegal. The act was passed by Parliament in the wake of Lloyd George's 1922 cash for honours scandal. Now again, this is not what this video is about, so you can all go Google that for yourselves, or if you want me to, I will discuss that in another video. Now, like I said, as the video is not about the law or morals or anything like that, I'm not even going to go into the legalities, etc., but rather return to the psychology and why I'm saying Prince Charles is a cerebral narcissist. Now, had he made the mistake once, one could classify it a mistake. Twice would be a little dubious, but 3, 4, 5 times that we know of, and each time Prince Charles is caught out, he shrugs it off and says he knew nothing about it, or someone else, like Michael Fawcett, falls on his sword for Prince Charles. But we all know, for instance, that Michael Fawcett was so close to Prince Charles that he even put toothpaste on Prince Charles's toothbrush for him and held a bowl for him to wee in when Prince Charles's arm was in a sling. It is thus highly unlikely that Michael Fawcett did anything without Prince Charles's knowledge. But once again, this video is not about Michael Fawcett either. We already discussed the relationship between Michael Fawcett and Prince Charles in a previous video. Now, this is about my opinion that Prince Charles is a cerebral narcissist. And here is where we start ticking the boxes. Firstly, he does not learn from his mistakes and does the same thing over and over again because he feels entitled, as he believes he is superior and has a superior intellect. Secondly, when he is caught making a mistake, he blames it on everybody or everything else but himself, or he just shrugs it off and walks away. So here, my dears, is the conundrum. The reason why I believe the royal family is not acting against Harry and Meghan. Because if they do, they will be opening a can of worms which will blow the arrogance and past entitlement of certain royals right out into the open. Now, as I'm researching and putting this video together, I am aware that the Queen's health is not 100%. and that she spent a night in hospital for general observation. And it truly breaks my heart to know that at 95 and after nearly 70 years of service, this woman, yes, ultimately, that is who she is, a mother, a grandmother, a great-grandmother, and a woman, now has to deal and has to think of this kind of nonsense from her children and grandchildren. This is not fair to her. But then again, this kind of arrogance and entitlement came from years of privilege, being spoiled and having their egos boosted by fans who blindly follow them and do not demand accountability. Now, once again, contrary to what I have been accused of these last few weeks, I do want the monarchy to continue. As far as I'm concerned, the monarchy is an integral part of our heritage and culture. But having said that, I wish that somehow we can get the glamour and fairy tale back that we had with Her Majesty and Prince Philip. And maybe, or shall I say, I hope, William and Catherine will be the ones to bring us that and to restore the monarchy to its previous glory. In the meantime, though, what are we to do with the current scandal makers? I don't want to see Britain become a republic. But neither can we allow for certain members of the royal family to take advantage of their position, to believe themselves to be above the law, and or to act in a way which will damage or hurt the country's reputation and its people. And yes, I'm also aware that even those who have transgressed are not all bad. Fergie has enduring qualities and has done a lot for numerous causes. Charles has done wonderful and many good deeds. And I guess if one digs deep enough, you will even find that Megxie has some good in her somewhere. But again, there has to be accountability, regardless of their personality disorders, mental health conditions, and titles, as the public also have rights and need to be protected. Okay, my dear friends, once again, I really want to thank you for your support and thank you for being here and thank you for your loyalty and friendship. Now, until we meet on the next video, please take good care of yourselves. Bye.